What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be talking about finding the next 100x investments. And I'm not talking about over the short term, this is long term investing that I'm talking about. And unfortunately for you, I'm not going to be telling you what the next 100x stock is, okay? That would be more akin to giving a man a fish than teaching a man a fish. If I teach you how to fish, then you can fish the rest of your life. And if I show you how to find these stocks and how I go about finding stocks that I think could be the next 100x opportunity, I think that's a lot more productive than just showing you stocks that I think could be 100xing in the future. Now, these stocks that we're talking about, we're going to use examples from the past like Amazon and Google and Apple and Microsoft to see what kind of way would we have been needing to invest in order to have caught these companies and to have actually potentially been in on them before they got really big and their prices blew up and before they 100x essentially, right? That's what we want to figure out. What would we need to have done to have been buying Amazon way back when it was trading at 30 cents or 40 cents or 60 cents instead of, when it was trading at 30 bucks and now 132 bucks as it's currently trading. So that's what we're going to talk about in this. And the first thing that you guys need to know about how to pick these 100x stocks is that fundamentals essentially go out the window, because if fundamentals are already very strong for a company, then it's too late essentially to get in on the 100x opportunity for the most part. Maybe there are going to be some, but the thing is, as retail investors, we're never going to have an edge choosing companies based on the technical fundamentals, right? The balance sheet, the debt ratios, all that kind of stuff. There are a bunch of institutional investors and hedge funds who have a ton of analysts working for them, and they can much more easily analyze the entirety of a company and do what Warren Buffett does and value invest, right? Warren Buffett's doing it, and he's choosing these stocks not necessarily for 100x opportunities. He missed out on a bunch of the huge tech plays like Amazon and Google and all that, because he's more interested in value investing. It's been very successful for him, but there are also very successful investors who have gotten in on these 100x opportunities. And a lot of people, if you're in an older demographic, you can probably remember a time before Apple and Google and Apple and Microsoft really blew up, and before they were these massive stocks, and you may have wished that you invested way back then. And it's not too late to invest in companies of the future. There's always time. There's going to be a time in 20 years when you look back on the 2020s as if they were long ago. And companies that you probably never would have thought to invest in will be massive. And hopefully some that you did think to invest in will be massive. And the key to doing this, once again, not looking at the fundamentals. If it looks fundamentally strong, it's almost essentially guaranteed to be too late, because other companies, other investment vehicles are going to be looking at those companies and they're already going to be jumping in and elevating their price. I mean, as soon as it was very likely for a stock like Tesla to be doing well, you can see their price skyrocketed as soon as it was very apparent where they were going. And there wasn't so much confusion about where the price could possibly be going. Then the price blew up and it was too late to really get in on the 100x. There's still probably great gains to be had in Tesla. That's why people are currently investing in it. But you missed out on the massive boom. And if you really want to know about the massive boom, look way back at what Tesla was trading at in 2010 when it was trading at a low of $1. I mean, going from $1 to $289 where they're currently at, that would have been a pretty massive gain, right? That would have been pretty good. Now, the way that you would look for a company like this isn't as intuitive as, unfortunately, the fundamentals are, because there's no facts that you can look at. There's nothing that you can say will guarantee a company's success, and that's part of the game. Part of the game when you're getting these 100x stocks is that for massive reward, massive potential reward, there's also going to be massive potential risk. And a lot of the companies that you invest in when you're trying to pick the next 100x company are going to end up going bankrupt. Some are going to go nowhere. Some are just going to stay stable. And some might only go up 10% or whatever it is over the course of a long period of time. And they'll essentially be the losers of those picks. And so it's important to pick multiple and probably quite a few stocks when you're looking for a 100x opportunity, because you're picking these stocks so early on in their lives when they just have an idea. Essentially, they're just based around an idea and they're just getting started. They're potentially heavily indebted, and their futures might not look too bright from a financial perspective. But if you can really extrapolate what the idea could look like in the future, and if it's an idea that you really believe in, then those are the companies that could potentially have 100x potential. I mean, when you look at a company and they're not doing anything too interesting, they're not doing anything too new, it's very unlikely that someone would start up a farm and start a stock for that farm and that would 100x, right? Because there's a ton of competition. They're not doing anything new. It's not an idea that's unheard of that they're trying to introduce to the world. And those kinds of companies can be great if you want some maybe reliable dividend income, or maybe just reliable gains in the stock market of 5 to 10% per year. But if you're choosing a 100x stock, unfortunately, you're going to almost certainly have to take on some risk. And a lot of the companies are going to go bankrupt. So that's something that you'll just have to accept. And, that's why you want to diversify in a bunch of those different stocks, if that's what you're after. If you're looking for the next Tesla or Microsoft or Apple, then you're going to have to essentially think of what idea is this fledgling company coming up with, and does it actually have long-term potential in the future? Could it be a massive world-changing technology that they're trying to develop? Is this a world-changing idea? Is it something new? That's going to be the first clue if they're doing something new that you haven't heard of before, or are making new advancements in a field that you think is very relevant to the overall world. Then that's going to be the first couple of clues that you can get that this might be a 100x stock. Once again, I'm not going to be able to tell you guys what these stocks are guaranteed. There are a bunch that I've selected that I've bought myself that I think could be 100x stocks, but I'm no more likely to be right than you guys are, based on the ideas that I'm thinking, right? There are things that I think will be big in the future that might end up just washing away and won't be big at all. And there are things that I might think would be, non-important and not be huge in the future that could be massive. So, I'm not going to be more right necessarily than any of you guys are, but if we can diversify ourselves enough and choose enough of these ideas that we think will be big, then the likelihood that we choose at least one or two and get a couple of stocks that do 100x or more, like a lot of these stocks have, then that's really what we're aiming for, right? We just want to be right a couple of times, and we can be wrong a lot of the time, and that's okay as long as we're right a couple of times. And that's really the key. Just choosing stocks that you think are, first of all, they have to be pretty small initially, right? They've got to be pretty new, otherwise they're already going to have grown in price quite a bit, and there's only going to be so much growth left. You can't jump on at the last minute and say, "Oh, now I guess Apple's going to be huge." Way back in 2020, you could have jumped on, I guess, and you could have made some good money, but it's not 100xing at this point, at least not that I see happening. But there are stocks that are going to be a lot more risky. Once something's pretty secure, people are going to be a lot more comfortable investing in it. Hedge funds, institutions, they're going to plow money into it, and that's really going to balloon the price. So unfortunately, when choosing a 100x stock, it's not financial advice that I'm giving here. It's just my opinion. It tends to be the riskier stocks that can end up performing much better than the others. Obviously, they can perform far worse than these blue chip companies that have already proven themselves. So really, if you're looking for 100x, for something that's unproven, something that has an idea that in the future you could see being massive, and something that doesn't just seem like a complete scam, because there are a lot of those out there. You want to do a little bit of research to make sure that it's actually a real company with employees and isn't just operating out of someone's shed and happen to get listed on the NASDAQ or wherever, maybe the over-counter markets. You want to make sure it's not a scam. So those are a couple of the tips and tricks that I use to look for 100x stocks. And hopefully they'll be helpful to you. Obviously not financial advice, but we do have a quote that's pretty relevant to finding these stocks. And it comes from Walter Anderson. And he says, "It is only when we take chances when our lives improve. The initial and most difficult risk that we need to take is to become honest." And you guys have to be honest with yourselves that you're not going to pick winners 100% of the time. Some of the companies that you guys pick are going bankrupt. Some of them are going down. Some of them are going nowhere. But some of them are potentially going very high. And that's just some honesty that you have to impart on yourself. And you have to accept that there is some risk in the world and that you can't be right 100% of the time. And you have to be okay with that. Once again, not financial advice, just my opinion. Just wanted to put this out there for anyone who's curious about at least how I go about looking for 100x opportunities over the long term. I'm not saying over the next year or two. This would be, 10 years-ish plus timeframes that I'm looking at, but 100x over 10 years is still really good. Once again, not financial advice, just my opinion. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.